Oh,
Boom.
that notification came out crazy.
It did. We live. I didn't know you could actually hear that actually. So
yeah, like it popped up on my screen and asked if I wanted to leave.
oh, okay. None of my
Yeah.
guests have ever told me that happened. So
I was like,
it's good to
okay.
know. Hello, friends. Welcome to the justCARR podcast. We are on episode 3 of season 2. Woo woo. This is a really cool episode. I'm very excited to talk to this young leader and boss, Michaela Cooper, aka Kreative K. And I will let her introduce herself in just a second here. But for maybe my new listeners or people who are wondering what we do here on the podcast, the justCARR podcast is a space for artists, creators, entrepreneurs to come and to share their experience, especially in this, what I like to call like a post-pandemic era. I think anyone who is choosing to be an entrepreneur or a creator after 2020 is the bee's knees. And so in that way, I am lucky to be connected with amazing artists and creators through my business, justCARR Creative Consulting. We provide professional and creative support for artists, creators, and teams. And through that work, I've just been able to be connected with so many amazing people. And Kay is one of those people. And I'm really excited for this podcast because in season, I guess 2 at least, Kay is someone that I know the least, have known the least amount of time. So the podcast will be good for me. I'll get to know Kay as well. You all listeners get to know Kay as well. I know Kay is going to drop some gems just from our conversations over the last month and a half or so. So before I go too far, because I always get into the intro and I'm like, I will just talk all day. Kay, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell people who you are, what you do, any relevant information, and then
Yeah.
I'll jump in.
Yeah. So my name's Kreative K. Pretty much, I've been in Charlotte for probably about 10 years now. Jeez, almost 10 years now. So pretty much when I came down here, I wasn't doing too much in the dance industry. Where I'm from Connecticut, so street dance was kind of my thing. Coming down here, it was more of a, how do I put it? It was more closed off than being in the city. There weren't too many places where you can just go and kind of like fit in. So I think that balance, especially being a female, that in the street dance was always like a struggle because you don't fit in with the guys, but you don't fit in with the girls. So it was kind of finding that balance. So with that, I kind of started going to studios a bit more. I was like, okay, I'll bite the bullet. I'll do this stuff I don't want to do. Um, but I ended up meeting a lot of great people, and it kind of helped with my professionalism that the street dance wasn't offering at that time. And from there, I was able to be in different groups, fams, teams, whatever you want to name them, and just kind of realize that there was still that bridge that was missing because there was so much going on. And actually, when I came down here, it was crazy because it was like one of my insecurities that it was like, dang, like I know all these people, but like nobody invites me anywhere. Like it really started off like I was like, dang, like everybody was like, yo, I always see you out. And I'm like, yeah, but like nobody picks me. Like honestly. Like so no. So honestly, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, if I'm gonna be in this fam, how do I change that? Because I've always kind of been the glue in a sense. And that's where I kind of realized things were lacking. So it was like, okay, instead of this being my insecurity, like, dang, why is everybody okay with just like leaving K? It was like, how do I use this to my advantage that everybody is cool with using K and just leaving her? And it became a thing of I'm just gonna be the one to bring people together. So it was really like turning an insecurity into a passion and a purpose because literally the thing that now is driving me is the thing that made me want to give up on dance, entertainment industry, anything, period. So my main style, I claim light feet from up top. up north, light feet, waves popping. I studied under a few people in the street dance community, nothing too serious. I can do choreo, don't claim it though. Don't claim it like that, but I can. And yeah, when I came down here, dance was really just different for me. It just opened up my eyes to like, okay, there's more than like dancing in the street. Like you get paid to like do stuff with dance here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
up north, it's like my homies are on the subway or they're on the street. Like there is not, getting booked. So when I came here and I saw that, I was like, so you mean to tell me like you guys have the ability to be booked down here and you guys don't do anything? Like, so, you know,
Sheesh.
it was kind of like, okay, cool. So supply and demand, literally. It was like, what's missing and what can I bring?
Damn.
And from there, I realized sessions were the thing that brought people together somewhat. Um, it wasn't
Whew.
necessarily, it wasn't necessarily like a bringing together. It was more of a, I really want to dance and I'll bite the bullet even if I don't like you. But it was still
Mm-hmm.
like missing that love and that community feel that I think I got back home. It was
Mm-hmm.
like people were like, I'm gonna come to the session, but I still don't want to be around this person. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, damn, like, like
Weirdos.
where does it end? Like, how are we ever going to like get out of this? If you don't force people to be in an uncomfortable situation around each other.
Mm.
So from there, started doing sessions, a lot of sessions. Sometimes 2 people would come, sometimes 20 people would come. It was
That's
just
how it
like,
goes.
okay. So then one day, I don't know what the day it was, but I did a session at the boardwalk and like 30 people came. And it was just like, dang, like it was like break dancers and crumpers and contemporary, and everybody was dancing. I mean, like every style, even people stopping on the street. So it was just like, okay, an idea, light bulb. But it was like, nah, because
Mm.
I don't want that much pressure on me. I'm still like light bulb, but no. So
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, I'm still kind of thinking that it started in Amelie's, which was a location that was like a
Shout out to
safe space.
Amelie's.
Yeah, shout out to Amelie's, rest in peace, Amelie's.
Rest in peace.
That was like our safe space, for people's practices, events, sessions, labs, everything. So it was kind of like, okay, we got Amelie's, let's start doing, culture sessions. And I was just like, it's just going to be for the culture. It's going to be every Thursday. Thursday was my one off
Mm.
day of work. I was like, let's get it, culture sessions. Everybody's like, all right, cool. So then I started kind of like tricking people, not like tricking on purpose, but like I would like kind of lie to people like no, it's really just gonna be crump, bro, or no, it's really just gonna be light feet, and just kind of forcing them to come out and then being like,
Yeah.
just kidding, it's everybody. So we just kept like vibing, and then like one day I was sitting, it was me, a few people from QC Crump and Ungraceful J, and this is like towards
Shout
the
out.
end of Amelie's when they cut the power and the heat and
Mm-hmm.
everything. We were just like sitting there cold, like on the floor, and I just like had enough. Like I had enough. And I like pulled out my notebook and I was just like, bro, like, what is the reason that like we're in this situation? Like, why is there never like a platform? Like, why is this always happen? Like before Camp North End became commercialized, that was the spot.
Oop.
Now we
Yep.
now we get kicked out because it's restaurants and businesses, so we can't do that anymore. We had Camp North End, then we had
Mm.
Amelie's. We've had other spots. Some people will go to the boardwalk. Now the boardwalk's a little bit modernized. They don't really want that out there neither.
Yeah.
It's so it was like,
Yeah.
how do we keep, how do we get out of this cycle of just constantly having like a platform and then it just like snatched away because it's not for dance. Things are
Damn.
not necessarily for dance in Charlotte. There's a lot of things that are for dance in the sense of dancers will bring it to life so y'all can come, but it's not
But
for
it's not
dance.
for us.
You
Yeah.
know, you're
Yeah.
still behind that artist, behind that drummer, behind that, musician and
Mm-hmm.
things
A
like that. So
feature.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, they'll spin it like, yeah, but we need dancers. Of course you do. It's the entertainment. But
Mm-hmm.
where do we finally get the actual recognition of not being a backup dancer or not being in the shadows? So I was like, okay. But my first thing was like, is there even an audience for that? Because it just doesn't feel that respected.
Mm.
So boom, Culture Clash is born. Boom,
Okay.
there.
Stop.
Look,
Stop. Boom.
look,
Boom.
look.
Chill.
There it is.
Because I know I just need I just need a second. Because I haven't heard this story before. So I need
Yeah.
I need Okay, so before we even go too far, there's a couple little pieces of history that we have to plug in here and some things I want to highlight. If you listen to the podcast, listeners or viewers on YouTube, because you can't watch it on YouTube, you know that I don't ever want us to skip over a gem. I would hate for that to happen. So I'm gonna make sure that we catch a couple that Kay dropped all fucking ready. First of all, um, I know Kay because of her partner Aaron is best friends with my best friend Jason Dawkins. And if you have been keeping up with the podcast all this time, he was on season 1. I believe he was maybe one of the first episodes, kicking it with Baby J. It was a random conversation, which turned out amazing. But I know Aaron through Jason. And Erin and I mean, she's also a dancer. She's in the scene, so I know of her. But me leaving and not being here for the past couple of years, I mean, I haven't even been in the city. You know, I'm in Concord, but the city of Charlotte, so to speak, for about 10 years, college to LA, and then coming back about 10 years total. So judging by Kay's timeline, when I was leaving, Kay was coming in. And so I met Kay 2021 at the first Culture Clash.
Yeah, I think that was like the
Essentially,
first time.
I'm sure we might have crossed paths at Amelie's a couple times before that, but we actually really started politicking at the
Yeah.
Culture Clash. And folks were like, oh, this is Kay's show. And I'm like, who the hell is Kay? Because whoever Kay is the GOAT right now. So that's how I know Kay. And so I'm sure we'll get to our like relationship and how it's developed. But also cut to this is spring 2015. I was living in LA for 6 months, 2014 going into 2015. And then I had to come back and finish my degree. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that was a shit show for me. It was very rough, very tough times for the kid. And one of the things that saved my life was going to dance. And there was not really a scene. We had just lost Prism and Kodachrome and these organizations that were around when I was in college. And so Jason was like, oh, I'm going to pull up to this session these guys are having, whatever, at this spot. Didn't even really know it was Amelie's. But that was the night, 2015. I met Takeo and I met Ungraceful J before I even knew who these guys were. So the fact that these sessions and things have been happening, that people were getting connected with and to, then I connected with that community. I mean, again, back in 2015, left again, went back to LA, was doing my thing, came back at the end of 2020. And one of the first people that I happened to see out at Amelie's was Takeo. So you did something that you didn't even know. I mean, you helped me keep dancing in the city, and you didn't even know that you helped me keep dancing in the city. So knowing that you were one of the organizers of the Amelie sessions, and it's really dope that it was called Culture Sessions first. I was always wondering where the Culture Clash came from. So Culture Sessions first is really, really tight. And I don't want to skip over these. I think you said no. Yeah, well, I mean, you have a lot of gems, but I'm gonna just point out two, so I don't go crazy on the podcast. But the first one was this: Kay said I was insecure about something, and so instead of choosing to stay insecure about it, I flipped it on its head. Okay, Jody in the last episode was talking about letting go of fear and just understanding that at any point you can act, and so there's that first gem for you, man. Sometimes that thing that really stresses you or presses you is your opportunity to innovate or to create nuance. And also, many times there are other people with that same point of stress as well. There were other people in the community who, I mean, now we have Culture Clash, so people have somewhere to go and to feel like they belong. But if you didn't have a group or a clique, I imagine that there were a lot of other people who felt like they weren't getting invited out, but they didn't really, they had to kind of show up and hope that somebody was going to reach out to them. So shout out to Kay. Also, the second thing you said was Thursday was my only day off. So you're working 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And still programming for the community. Yeah. So yeah. I don't want to hear no excuses out there. Once this
None.
drops, I don't want to hear it. Oh man, I work or da. Like I know people got things going on. I'm not hating on nobody, but just don't say you can't do it. Cause Kay did it with one day out the week. Her only day out the week, Kay made it happen. So boom. Now we're there.
Overtime.
We're caught up. I mean, overtime, definitely. But you did it. That's what I'm saying. You did it. You could have stayed at home on your only day off, but you didn't stay home.
Yeah.
You made something happen for the community. So now I'm back. I know I'll call a timeout. Ref, we're good. Back in play. Boom. Culture Clash was born. Let's get back into that because I need this story and the people need the story.
Yeah. Boom. Culture Clash is born. The baby is here. Now, how I imagined Culture Clash in the beginning was still not supposed to be to the extent that it became. When I imagined Culture Clash, even like if I go back to the notebook, it's literally a notebook. It says Culture Clash. There's a list of like me and my 5 friends who I talk to because I don't talk to a lot of people. And literally it's like showcase now Studio 1212, which is a location in Charlotte. Jim McGuire owns it. He's always been very supportive of the dance community. Like well before me, I know he shot some of if any people are familiar with Johnny Michaels, he shot a lot of stuff for Johnny in that studio.
Shout out to Johnny.
He's done a lot of stuff for people in that studio as far as artists, musicians. He's really heavily involved in the culture. But I didn't even know he did event rentals, like that you could use his place for an event because it doesn't look like a place you would throw something in. So, one day I was just, I'm talking to Ungraceful Jay and I'm like, bro, we need to like find somewhere to do this. Like, we can't do it at Amelie's. And I don't got the money for a building. So what do we do? Like, and in my head, I'm like, I'm kind of downplaying it. I'm like, well, we know we don't need like a huge space because it's just going to be like a little showcase. And again, the goal always for Culture Clash, I'm actually going to read it. I have a mission statement that I wrote a while ago. Like the first mission statement I've ever written.
I need that.
For culture sessions. This says, okay, October 14th, 2020. I got it. At 8:08 p.m. So, and literally, okay, so Culture Counts, it was called Culture Counts, #Culture Counts. And that was pretty much, it was going to be like a newsletter that dropped every week. And it was just going to kind of like invite people to the session, let them know what we're doing. This is all still at Amelie's. It says admin, me, Ungraceful Jay, and Taco. This is the only staff.
Yo, like, shout out to the boys. Shout out to the boys.
We made a group chat. So the mission, the purpose, it says, okay, the purpose is to break down the creative barriers and social cliques between different types of freestyle and industry dancers, to use knowledge and training to enhance the culture of dance, focusing on the blend of styles for a bigger impact on the dance community. So that was what I sent out to everybody and was like, hey, this is what I'm doing, because I don't have a way to sell it. So this is the mission. This is the purpose. So this is something you feel like you want to be a part of.
Wow.
Come to Culture Counts, come to Culture Sessions. And the very beginning, I'm big on loyalty. Like anybody who knows me, like I treat my friends like brothers, like sisters. So in the very beginning, I was like, this is for us. Like, this is for us. Like, I only want my homies on the lineup. Like, because I was just like, it was going to either be for the people who have been with me from the beginning or the constant people that I've had come up to me who have never had a platform that are dope, because there's so many amazing people here and people are always coming up to me because they would see the things that I did before I came back to Charlotte and like Atlanta, or when I would go to Florida and things, and like, hey, how can I do this here? And I'm just like, man, like, like let's just start in Charlotte, because like home court advantage, you need to have respect where you're from, which is something that's very big that goes over a lot of people. A lot of people will city hop. If you are not respected where you are first, you're not going to go to somebody else's city and tear things up.
Nope, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And that's like one thing that I think creators, like, they get frustrated at how things are going and they're like, I'm going to move and I'm going to do it here. And it's like, no, So my main thing always was to get the respect of my city. Though I'm not from Charlotte, I feel like I've been here long enough. I've went through enough adolescence here long enough to claim it. So yes, I claimed Charlotte. So here it was like, y'all are my people. I want this for y'all. Like before y'all worry about how we do this in Atlanta, how we do this in Miami, I'm telling you right now, there's something we can do right here that we have to do now.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, okay, it sounds cool. But again, everybody's still thinking it's going to be real simple. So my head, the marketing part of me is like, okay, let's be realistic. I go to Studio 1212. They tell me how much the building is. I'm like, sheesh. All right. So if we're doing this, we do need to bring some people out, huh? So I go to Studio 1212. Jim worked with me. We kind of worked out a really amazing deal because he believed in it. He was like, I know what you want to do. And I'm like, all right, now it's time to pick my lineup. Boy, when it's time, that's when you realize who are your friends and who are not your friends. When it's time to pick out a lineup and let people know why this and why that. When it's time to explain and break things down, you realize the people who are not really there with you, because there will be a lot of feelings that get hurt along the way, not even intentionally, but for business reasons. So when it came to the lineup, originally I was like, okay, culture clash. It has to be a split between my choreo heads and it has to be my freestyle heads, but it has to be a split. It's a culture clash. So originally my favorite number is 7, number of completion. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do 7 and 7, first culture clash. It's supposed to be 14 acts, 7 freestylers, 7 choreographers, boom. First culture clash is all my friends. If you look at the lineup, first culture is in a nutshell all my friends. And again, it was just like a loyalty thing. I didn't really feel like searching for that.
I get that.
Building new connections at that point. It was really more of this is what me and my people can do, reached out to them, had a lot of people that were like, okay, cool, got a little buzz. We did a whole bunch of like little promo videos. I think, matter of fact, you were in one of the promo videos, but that was for the second, that was for season 2.
Yeah, I was
like I was, I was trying to do the things to make it, I made the Culture Clash page. Like I was like, all right, like we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, legit.
So the first one, that's April 16th, which we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, April 16th. And I just remember being like, okay, this isn't about money. I just don't want people not to come, because that's one thing I do now. I do have an ego. So I was like, if people don't come, I probably will never like show my face again, because that's when I first also started realizing there's like K that people respect, but then there's like the homie people respect. So it was like all the people who I expected to kind of like be there and get their ticket didn't. So I was like, dang. So I guess we're just like not cool on that level, which is fine, but like hurt my feelings a little bit. But it was an eye opener that not as many people, were gonna be a part. So the first one happens. Thomas, DJ Kid Grady.
Shout out.
Also, known him since high school actually. So it's just like crazy how the universe works, because I never thought that like outside of high school I'd see him again. So when I saw him on the scene, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And he's one of the very first people I was just like, this is when he had just started getting back into his DJing really, really heavily. And like he's sending me his SoundCloud mixes he's been working on and all types of stuff. And I'm like, bro, like I need you to be like my permanent Culture Clash DJ. Like,
shout out to Kid Grady, by the way. Shout out to that nigga Law. Woo.
Know that. So I'm like, bro, I need you. And he's like, yeah, when is it? Like he's like, yeah, like I'm working on it now. Like he's just
that's
like,
Thomas,
I'm like, all right, like cool, that's locked in. This is the first one. Then I'm like, all right, now I'm trying to secure a team, I'm like, I still want it to be my homie. So now it's time to host. I'm like, hosting dance events is a certain type of energy. So who but the only extra.
Extra. Shout out to that man.
Who but him. So,
oh gosh.
So the roster is just building. So now it's like, okay, I got Tom, not to call him Tom by his nickname on the podcast, but I got Tom here. I'm like, I got Tyler. So now I'm like, okay. And it's like, my homies are tight. So already I'm like, the lineup is the easiest part.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, okay, I got the lineup. I got Thomas. I got extra. We're in there. First Culture Clash comes and I'm like, oh, people are here. Like,
yeah, that it was pretty packed. I can say I was at that first show. I've been out to all of them, thank God. But that first show was packed. It was lit in there.
I mean, shoulder to shoulder. And it was like, okay, nice. Okay. It all like, it
Yup.
clicked. But still then it was still like a very like humbling moment. I don't think I really took it as like a, yeah, you did it. Like a lot of people were like, you know, like, oh my God. But I don't know. I think I really take things as like I look at things and it takes me a minute to celebrate because I look at it and I'm like a perfectionist and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like I look at it almost as like a lesson. And I'm kind of like, okay, this is cool and all, but this can be bigger than this. So it's all right. And like, you know, meanwhile, everybody's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Like, you know, like got to be humble, and at the end of the day I know where it can go, that it's not like the end result. So like to me it was just, it's still beautiful and I'm appreciative, but I was like, this is nice, but like now that I see what it can do, oh no, this is nothing. So that was the first one. There was no theme, no nothing, you know, like
that
it
was
was still, it was very naked. This was the first one. Like I hadn't thought about doing themes yet. I was just like, I didn't even know how many times a year I wanted to do it. It was just like a do it, you know, just to go for it. And matter of fact, even after that, I still didn't know if I want to do another culture class. I just did a free dance party. Like gave back to the community, just did a free dance party, food, drinks, space, everything, you know, like it was still like, I wanted it to feel community based. And I think Studio 1212 really helped morph culture clash because of how intimate it was. My main thing always with culture clash was intimacy, because one of my insecurities was always being that person in the background or feeling like I wasn't like, you know, supposed to be around these people because they're, you know, the known or cloud or whatever the terms are. So in my head, I was like, if people are going to be on the flyer, the audience needs to feel like they can connect with you. I'm big on everybody being on the same level. I don't care who you are. So I never wanted it to feel like oh, I'm on the flyer and I don't know, you're going to be in the crowd with the people too. Like, you know, like that's a different type of energy, as well as dance for me, where I grew up, you know, doing dance. I'm big on crowd and energy that like makes me dance. So I don't really do well being like 50 feet away from the crowd, like this big. Like that doesn't make me dance well. Like I'm good with like people being up on me. That's the type of energy I was raised in. So like theater
I get that.
etiquette and being like calm and person being like 90 yards away is like, no, like that's nice to look
No,
at.
yeah,
But like,
we gonna yell, we gonna scream, we
yeah, but
gonna
like I
act
need to
up.
feel it, you know, I need that extraness. So it was always like, okay, cool. And that was always my hardest issue, you know, with finding venues, because I was like, no, I still need that intimate feel. Like I still need people to feel connected. I don't need people to get a ticket to their seat and feel like, okay, well, I paid for this experience and I didn't get to know. Like, and I think that's the reason why culture class moves so many people, because you know, some dancers, you got them in the crowd. People were coming up to me crying, telling me this is their first dance event and things like that. And that's not the type of connection you can necessarily get if you don't get to speak to somebody, you know? So the first one, it was real rocky. I'm not gonna lie, it was rocky. And it was definitely like a beginner. Like now that I look at it, because I look at the recap videos all the time, like all three back to back to back sometimes. And I look at the first one like, oh nah, like
you probably wilded, yeah.
Oh nah, that wasn't it.
What was, if you don't mind me asking, your, if you could pick one, I know it's probably tough, maybe even two, but big lessons or takeaways that you got from specifically the first show?
The first one, the biggest lesson is, I can say this in a nice way, not everybody has to be a part. And for me, that was like a big thing, because again, I'm big on loyalty. So I was always trying to like fit my homies in like anywhere I could. Like maybe you could just, you know, maybe you could hold a painting, like anything. Like I'm just like trying to. And that was like my first thing, realizing like not everybody has to be a part because you're cool, because you're friends. And that was like hard for me, because I always was like the person who was like, no, that's my homie. So yeah, like you're gonna be over here too, but giving everybody that pride and giving everybody that entitlement of that they were on culture class staff, even to now, it became very hard to break, because they felt like since they've been there since April, now I deserve this. And it was like, whoa, like, you know, like, no, that's not what that was. Like, so one big lesson I would say, not everybody has to be a part. Like some people are meant to just buy a ticket and support, and that's okay.
That is okay.
And now I'm now learning that that's okay though. Like before, like I would feel bad. Like even my friends, I would be like, no, like don't worry about a ticket. Like I would feel so bad that they weren't involved that I was like, come for free, because I'm always like looking to give something back to like my people who I feel like have held me down. So now I'm just finally getting like to putting my foot down and being like, if there's no room for it, if we don't need you in this way, not that you're useless, but like it's okay to just
you just don't serve a purpose at this time. Period.
So that's my big, I would say that's like the number one thing, and I'm still going through that. I learned that more and more each one. Like,
and how old are you, Kay? Just for
25.
the listeners. Yeah. 25. She's 25, guys. So just know that she's stomping on necks at 25. Been doing it for all this time. So
yeah, that was like a big one. I would say the second one would be write everything down.
Yeah. Man, document
write everything down. I mean,
write things down, everything. Notes,
I don't care
ideas,
if it's
conversations
squigglies on a paper, like everything, because I've never realized, like, I always knew that I was good at like planning. You know, I used to host regular parties, college parties, stuff like that. But when it comes to like you being in charge of your own stuff, one slip of the mind, everything is off. Like everything is off. And writing things down has saved my life. I mean, I have notes for days now because my brain was just literally for a long time just like fried from culture clash, and I would be forgetting small things that made it harder for me to be a leader because I'm forgetting. And it was literally just as simple as put it in your calendar, like write it down. But you know, I was just moving so much that I'd be like, no, I'm gonna remember to do that. You know, you try to do too much. So I guess that also ties into with also getting rest, because there was a point in time, I would say the second culture class, really not so much for the third one. The second one, I think I probably had like 5 breakdowns the week of, like, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this. Like, it was so much because I just wasn't taking any breaks. And it really, when I look back at it, wasn't any like make it or break it stuff. I was definitely being dramatic. But in the moment,
it's real though. It's real.
In the moment, like the pressure is at an all-time high. So I would say, yeah, my lessons has probably been patience, organization, and not everybody has to do everything. Like some people are just meant to be friends, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to hit on just not knowing. Like I think it's really, really important too. And we've had this conversation, and I think it's important maybe just to say it on the podcast for creators, entrepreneurs, artists, especially if you're innovating anything, you won't know. You just won't know. Like there's no way, you know. I laugh sometimes. Actually, I had a call with my guys yesterday. We're getting ready to roll out BMBE in North Hollywood again for this year. And you know, we're coming up on 2 years, and we laugh at some of the things that we did in our first year. Like, why would we set up our vendors this way? Why didn't we do this on socials? Like, and in the experience of it, you learn a lot, you gain a lot. So I just want to encourage anyone who's listening, especially if you respect Kay and thinks she's great, because I think she's great. And you're like, wow, I could never be Kay. She just seems like she has it together. She does have it together, and she's amazing. But also, I will tell you from working with her that Kay just knows that you won't have every answer at any given time, you know. So I would just like to encourage you guys just to know that you won't have all the answers. Kay just finished her 3rd event, which was stellar. And I'm sure there are still things that you're thinking about that you're like, damn, I wish I would have, or, you know, next time I will, ... So don't get discouraged, guys, if you don't know, especially if you're starting from scratch. Just get those feet wet and just know that your feet are going to have to get wet. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It'll flow, and it'll be organic too. It'll not like some stuff. I know we've had conversations where like we've thought of a last minute idea and like I've thrown it on you out of nowhere, like, Josh, can you please, and like we'll think about it and we're like, well, we'll come back to it in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
Yeah.
happens like that, as
Yeah.
opposed to when it's on your brain and you're like, well, no, it has to be done today, you know? So it's good to have organization, but you got to be realistic with yourself, you know? Like, you have to be realistic. Like, there's some days where I've had like 5 bullet points on my list and I'm like, okay, now you now you know you're not going to all these stores
Right.
you
On
know,
top of
like
living the life that you have to live.
unrealistic. So I think like
Yeah.
definitely like you got to be realistic with yourself, because it's
Mm,
gonna get like that where
I like that.
you are gonna try to do it all because you want it done, you know. But
Mm.
realistically, like I said, take that rest because it will
So
get done.
where where are you at now in your work-life balance? Obviously, first show, it was probably a lot. Second show, I know you said there was
Yeah.
just too much happening. Um, what have you, like, skills or habits have you developed to help you manage the workload? Because I know that you also, not to just put all your business out there, but
Yeah.
you also have like a personal life. You're in a relationship. You also like work a
Yeah.
job, and you're a community organizer. You travel. And not only do you show up for your events, Kay is good for showing up to anyone's event that's in the city, even if
Yeah.
Kay just drops by
Even if
for
it's just
30
a second,
minutes.
like I'm gonna make it. I mean, you'll see me
Yeah.
for a second.
So how do you balance all that out? Because I, whew.
Ooh, look. Well, for one, okay, well, for one, my list, my notes in my phone are ridiculous.
Mm,
Every Sunday night, from what I do know, I try to plan my things out like 2 weeks in advance.
mhm,
So every Sunday, I have like a permanent list that I just change things out, where it's literally Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I prioritize
mm,
the things I have to do. So I've gotten a lot better with saying no. Like if people invite me stuff to do the day of or the day before, it's usually going to be a no. So like if you
mhm,
see me at an event, I've known about it. There's some events that I do miss because it's last minute. Work, I made a promise to myself because I did quit my job for a little bit, and then I was
mhm.
like, that was cute. I'm gonna go back to work. But I was
Ooh,
kind
yep.
of like, I made the promise to myself. I used to work third shift. So for one,
Mhm,
that was not it. I said if I'm
yeah.
gonna go back to work, I'm gonna do first shift.
Mhm,
So that because I have no issue waking up early. I was like, I still need to have my day. So if I'm gonna go to work, I need to be off by like 3 p.m. Give myself
mhm,
evening because too much stuff goes on in the evening for me to be at work.
yeah.
So that was the first thing. If I'm gonna work, it's gonna be during the daytime. That's how I balance work. If it's not first shift, I'm not going to work. And I'm pretty good, usually off work by 3, and that gives me my day. And I don't work
Mhm,
weekends. I always tell
mhm,
jobs, no weekends, and I gotta be off by like 3, 4 during the week. Like if we
yeah.
can't do that,
Hold it
I
down.
can't work here. Like that's a little work. That's with that. Relationship wise, is I feel like when you deal with somebody who's like your friend, it makes it easier.
Mm,
Um, like if you deal with somebody who's not your friend, that's gonna be an issue. But when you deal with somebody who's your friend, it comes with a lot of understanding and a lot of
mm,
communication. So it's never like oh my gosh, you're so busy. Where's the time for me? It's always like
mm,
oh, what do you have going on today? Oh, that's dope. And then treat it as well, this is when I'm free. So this is our time for us. Even though that
right.
sounds like a 50-year-old man.
But that's what it
Like
is at this moment.
when I
Yeah.
say it out loud, it sounds like a 50-year-old man. But like, no, like really, because I mean, especially when you guys both work, like there'd be times where it's like, yeah, I know we said we was going out to eat, but like, we're both going to sleep. Like,
Mhm,
so it's
mhm,
just one of those things of, yeah, like definitely. And it helps when they're in the same industry as you because, it's
yeah.
kind of like two birds in one stone. It's like, we haven't really had any time to spend together, but I have to go to this event and you'll probably enjoy it too. So like, let's
Mhm,
knock out two birds in one stone and we'll just go out to eat after. Like,
yeah. That's
you
dope.
find compromise. You got to kind of find people that either respect what you do completely
Mm,
or to a certain extent understand, because there's
sheesh.
never really like a headbutt with the quality time or the free time, because
Mm,
it's like, what I'm doing and you're
yeah.
involved too,
Yeah.
so never
Especially
really
if they can
wanted
see
those
the
things.
vision.
Yeah. So like I said,
Yeah,
understanding and respect is always like a
got you.
good communication. There's really no time to bump heads. And as far as balancing going to all these events and stuff, like I just tell people like drop me the flyer and like maybe I'll be there. But like
Yeah.
everything in Charlotte is far and I'm gonna try to pull up. But my
Yeah.
thing with that is always, I always look at it again as a loyalty thing. A lot of the events I go to, I make it my duty because these are people who've been in Culture Clash. So
Facts.
like, even if I'm like dead tired, like I'll be like, I'm gonna go show my face and support because they're in Culture Clash, and it's the least I can do is give them the same love back. And it's really just more of like a priority thing that I make happen because it's like a motivation. Like I would want them to do that for me. Like I would hate for somebody to be like, oh, dang, 5 minutes away from Culture Clash and like not stop by because they're tired.
Mm.
And like so I would just want the same respect.
Mm.
So I try to be everywhere that I can be to show people that even if I'm not there, I'm there.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like a lot of different communities reach out to me, Carolina Dancing Committee, QC Crump,
Talk
the
about it.
Nation,
Talk about
Crazy
it.
Beat,
Talk
I
about
mean,
it.
Dance
And
District,
that's just in the state.
like,
You good.
so like,
You
and these are people I talk to on the regular that are like,
mm-hmm.
yo, like I'll help you, I got you. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
balance. And I think also like knowing when to shut down. Like there's days now where for a fact, my phone is on do not disturb. I don't get on Instagram. And like
Mm-hmm.
people, it's funny because people be like, are you okay? Like if I don't post, I'm like, yeah. But like
That's me too.
there's definitely detox days because it does sometimes become a lot. And there's days where I will sleep until 3 p.m. Like you're right, I sure will. And I think
Damn.
like you have to find those days. Like it sucks. There's some days I really want to go do stuff. I've had friends come in town. I've missed birthday parties, things
Yeah.
like that. I've missed family events, but you have to take that time because I've overworked myself before to the point where I felt sick. Like the second
Mm-hmm.
Culture Clash, I keep bringing
Yeah.
that one up. That one literally almost took me. So like no, because every day I was like eyes red, and that's when I was working third shift. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting off work back up, like feeling crazy. So I think I've just really like developed more of like a respect for myself as like a business
Mm-hmm.
person and understood that like you can say no and like you don't have to give yourself to everybody. And I'm not like as accessible as I used to be.
Glory. Mm.
So
Damn, Kay.
yeah.
Um, we are actually, I mean, I'm not surprised. But we're very similar in a lot of ways too. In the feeling that draw to give. I always say that because of the way that I grew up, certain dynamics in my household, that I'm always trying to go and build little families. I'm always trying
Yeah.
to bring people together and like make community. So I relate to that heavy. Um, and I will say that you might be beating me in this place here because I don't very often give myself a break.
Yeah.
I was independent last year too. I was just
Mhm.
traveling, only doing justCARR, just consulting, just coordinating. This year, I'm back at part time. I mean, again, our situations are
Yeah.
so
I'm
fucking
telling you,
close.
bro.
Like, I've said the same things though. I said it has to be first shift. These are the days that I'm available to work. I do have my own business. I told him I travel once a month, so like I'll be gone for a couple of days every month because I travel for work as well.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things that, especially since I started working again, I'm trying to be much better about is, and I wrote in my journal, is like I have to give myself permission to do things that other people might not understand or agree with.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sleeping till 3 p.m., missing plans, like making a change last minute kind of thing,
Hmm.
like because especially in our position, we are the engine for so much happening. I mean, you more than me in this, especially like in this area, but I know that I can think about times in college or especially in my work on the West Coast that I have to be together. I have to be organized, put on, or else nothing else is going to,
It all goes down. Yeah. Like
so
the
yeah,
domino
no, I fuck
effect.
with
So
that. I really like that. And I hear you say that. Cause today I had one of those days too. I had some other things like planned to do. And I just let myself pick them up at any point
Yeah.
during the day. Like instead of, get up in the morning, I am like a routine base. So get up, do this, do this, do this, do this. Like I am that person. But today
Yeah.
I just was like, fuck it. Get up, eat a
And I
different
think we had that
breakfast. Like,
conversation too the day before
mm-hmm.
Culture Clash, like when you called me and we were like, yeah, like let's just like hang out and you were like, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing, like nothing. I'm not doing anything today. Like I woke up, I went out to eat breakfast, came back home, and I think like you got called into work that day or
Did
something.
get
Like,
called into work. I
and
was
I remember I
pissed.
was just like, damn, like we both said we weren't doing anything today.
We were supposed to
Like,
hang out the whole day and just kick it and just eat and smoke and
yeah,
prepare
and
and
like
just
I ended up having to go pick up artwork and stuff
yeah.
anyway. Like, yes, I was just like, okay, just kidding. But like I'm really not doing anything now after 3. But like
Yeah.
well, definitely no, like you gotta put that foot down because it's
Yeah.
wicked, man. It's
And also just for the listeners, I was honored and it was so amazing. I helped coordinate the last Culture Clash, which we will recap. Season 3, Heartbreak Hotel. Again, I saw Culture Clash season 1. I was blown away. I had been doing programming and things since the entirety of my time in North Carolina. I was working at the Y first and doing programs there, then college, and then in the community. So always programming. So I saw Culture Clash 1. I was blown away. I came, obviously helped choreograph for QC Crump for Culture Clash 2.
one of the
And
best
then
performances, most talked about performances
you know what I'm
for many
saying?
reasons.
Controversy and all, we did it. And I made sure that at that show, I tried to just like insert myself. I was like, well, let me just hang up a flyer, or let me just da da
Yeah.
da, let me just,
That
because
was his audition right there when I went.
you know, look, because I could see it. I could see from where I was standing where you were at because I had been there. And I could also, not that you didn't have support, because I know that you did have support. You had a few dedicated, a really amazing Sev, Aaron, Baby J was picking up where he can, be smooth. Like I know you had like a lot of people there who were there to help, and I probably missed some names from season 2, but I could just see that you needed somebody to maybe take some things out of your brain as opposed to
Yeah.
off of your hands. And so again, yeah, guys, I was honored and blessed to help coordinate season 3, which was just, I don't know. It feels really special for me to be able to. I respect Kay a lot. I think Kay is a boss. Just a conversation, I'm sure you can tell that Kay is a boss. I consider myself a boss as well. And Kay's not that much younger than me. I mean, I'll be 30 in April, but just at 25, I wish that there was someone who came and maybe just stood next to me. And I had moments where shout out to people like Rashay Mackey, Sarah Rowe, Marcus Harmon, Jared Rice, Momo, like when I was shooting Real Talk and doing all these other big projects that I had people who said, well, what do you need from me? So yeah, cut to me actually working for Culture Clash. And then, so we worked together for about a month. And then the day before the show, I was supposed to have off of work. She's supposed to have off of work. We're supposed to hang out the entire day, prep for the show, get in our vibe. And then I got called into work, which threw my whole plan into nebulos.
Of course. Life of a boss, man.
Of course. I know, always, right? Life of a boss. And it also is tough when you're great too. So, I'm great in my life. And so I'm great at Waffle House as well. And so I would like to talk about season 3 for sure. But before I get there, there is a question I had on my list. And yeah, viewers, if you're watching, if I look down, I'm looking at my notes. I have a bunch of questions here. So we were saying in season 1, it was kind of just you running. Season 2, you kind of started establishing a team. And I know that part of that is loyalty for you.
Yeah.
Part of that is people that you know. And so for season 3, the team, at least from my vantage, was the largest that it's been, which makes sense because it was like kind of like the biggest event. So my question is, what do you look for in a teammate, in somebody who You know, 'cause I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm down to
Yeah.
help kind of thing. But
Oh,
what really
definitely.
sells it for you when you're looking for someone to come and help with a project?
Honestly, loyalty and consistency. Anything, I feel like anything else could be taught.
Yeah, no cap.
Like anything else can be taught. Like if I tell somebody I need help with this, usually for one, I already don't. I never put something into somebody's hands that's just gonna be like they're started from scratch, never done it.
Mm-hmm,
So if I'm
mm-hmm,
putting something in your hands, it's something that I trust you with, or something I know at least somebody else can help you with, or I can help you with, so you won't be
mm-hmm,
alone. But when it comes to picking a team, loyalty and consistency. Consistency is like a big thing with me. You probably have like not even one time to like back out on me without a good reason before I
mm-hmm.
never ask you again. And not even like it's gonna be a beef when I see you, but like I will just never ask you again.
Right,
Like,
right.
and that's like holding people accountable because right now I'm at a point where things are getting bigger and things are getting better. And I have to be very careful of my energy that I'm giving to people, and I have to figure out people's intentions. You know, there's a lot of people who were invited to the first one and they didn't know how Culture Clash was going to be, so they said no. Who now in the
Mm,
third one want to be on to that? You know, there's a lot of people who backed out on the second one still because even though they saw the first one, they still didn't know how great it would be. Who
yeah.
now want to be a part of this and a part of that, and where do you need this, there, and here? And that goes to loyalty. It's a thing of why would I put something in the hands of people who've already shown me that it wasn't
Yeah.
important when in the beginning it took the most belief, you know? Like right
That's a
now,
that's a quote right there. In the beginning, it takes the most belief. Yeah.
like in April, it took way more faith than it did in October or in February.
Mm,
Not to say in a cocky way, oh, I know it's gonna jump because it's Culture Clash. No, not in even a way of that. But for the first one, I'm walking into a venue I've never used, working with a bunch of people who have never worked with me or each other.
right.
I'm working with 25 different personalities, different styles, talking to everybody. It was very, okay, let's see what happens. The
Hmm.
second one, I already knew what to expect, kind of. The
Yeah.
third one, I still kind of know what to expect. So when I'm looking for people to be down with something, it's like in the beginning, I really had to believe in this. I really had to put a lot of faith in this, a lot of effort, a lot of hard work.
Mm.
So why would I allow you to come back now that things are easier and get a taste of what's going on when you didn't get to see what was going on? And that's for, it doesn't matter who you are. That goes for dancers. That goes for some of the bigger sponsors that have tried to throw in money that I asked. There's some places that I asked to put flyers in their buildings in April. And they told me, no, I can't sell tickets there. Can't put flyers in. Who are now asking, how can they get their banner at Culture Clash? How can they do this? How can they do
Mm.
that? So I'm a Scorpio, so I will hold a slight grudge, but you're not going to come back in February and enjoy the toast.
Yeah.
Like, so when I'm picking a team, I think of the people who were there in the beginning. Like, again, this the small things I remember. And, I always say it's the little things because that's one of Josh's like favorite quotes when people are dancing. He screams at people. So
It's the
like,
little thing.
I always like say that now all the time. And like, literally, like, I remember that first Culture Clash, the only people that helped me put out those chairs and clean up was Be Smooth and Ungraceful J.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the whole thing, Be
Mm-hmm.
Smooth, who shouldn't have even been outside due to his sickle cell,
Facts.
and Ungraceful J, who I'd already worked to the bone,
Yeah,
and he
and
was
he
performing,
performed.
and he performed. Those are the
Yeah.
only two people: chairs, front door, tickets. You know,
Mm.
And it's like, those are the type of things when I'm building the team who I'm going to remember, the
Yeah.
people. I'm not saying you have to like sacrifice your health to be in Culture Clash, but like, no, show me what you'll do. But like, no, like really, those are the things that I noticed. I'm not going to blink twice at the people who took a day off work because they wanted to come to Culture Clash. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not the same type of loyalty, and it's not consistent. I have some people that
Mm.
hit me up constantly. I mean, constantly. And then there's people who, when the February promotion started going in January, hey K, hey K, hey K, hey K, and I'm like, dang, I didn't even know you have my number.
Damn.
Like
They probably had to get
compared
it
to
from somebody else.
and then there's people that do talk to me every day. It doesn't have to be about culture clash. I have some people who literally just like, how you doing, K? And I have some people who still are like, when's the next culture clash? Which is cool, understandable. I now see what position I'm in, so that's why I say I'm being very mindful of people's intentions right now, because there's a lot of blurred line. You know, there is a lot of I'm cool with you, but do you just want to make sure you're performing again? You know, or do you really care how my day is going today? Because it's not going too well since you asked. But do you just want to know about culture clash? You know, like I had somebody like spark up a conversation with me. I can't even remember who it was. I'm not gonna put their name out there, but like somebody messaged me a little bit before Culture Clash February and was like, "Hey, did you see Spider-Man No Way Home yet?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh man, it's a real great movie." And I was like, "Yeah, it was cool." And they were like, "Yeah, so do you have any more Culture Clash slots?"
Shut up. Yo, bum ass.
I was like,
not off Peter. You're like, y'all don't understand. We comic book niggas out here.
Like,
so we
I was
really
like, I thought we were really
movies.
about to get into it. Like multiverse and all. No, like you just wanted the
Oh,
slot, bro.
God.
Like
Oh, sheesh. Oh,
so
I know this
yeah.
is so random. I'm so sorry. I know this has nothing to do with anything. But remember when we was in Boone and we was talking about fucking multiverse and I was
Yeah.
saying how they was gonna put that nigga Daredevil and Kingpin. I said,
You
I'm
did.
calling it.
You
I'm
did.
calling it. I said Sinister Six. I know that
Long
they
behold.
got my line tapped. I know they got it
I
tapped.
know they did. They had to be there, bro.
I'm sorry. I know that was so a tangent. What you said multiverse, and I was like, yeah, I forgot that you're actually one of the people that I need to
Yeah,
talk to
no,
about
that's
comic
very
books.
important.
Jeez. Okay.
Definitely.
Building a team, season 1, we get it. Season 2 was a stress ball. Amazing show, by the way. Super amazing. And again, season 2 for me, season 1, I got it. I understood the showcase.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, season 1, I was kind of still finding myself coming back to the city. I was still feeling, honestly, at that time, I was feeling a little bit jaded. I was like, I don't know if niggas know who's in the room right now. Kind of like stupid shit, like so dumb. Like, who do I think I am? But season 2 is where I saw it. And for all
Me
of my
too.
listeners who are on the West Coast, we have something called Club Jete out there and Carnival, which is in a couple of different cities, but it's these big dance showcases. You're usually on a wait list. I remember when I applied for Club Jete, I couldn't get in for 4 months. I think I applied in October and I
Sheesh.
got in for a February or a March show kind of thing. And Carnival is the same way, super exclusive. You gotta kind of it's for like more big name choreographers. So it took me a while as a dancer to get on the stage because I had to build my portfolio in the city. But when I was watching season 2, it occurred to me that, and I'm gonna send you some stuff on Instagram so you can see, but you're programming at the level of Carnival and Club Jete, which are some of the biggest, most
Sheesh, that's a
exclusive.
compliment.
I'm telling you, like, and that's not hype. Like,
Yeah.
and season 3, we're gonna move into that recap before we close because we got to hear about season 3. But season 3 signed it on dotted line for me. Like I'm like, okay, there's no more question in my mind that this is a trajectory. But season 2, our performance was one of them that definitely helped me see it. But Aaron, Baby J, Prince, I think Prince Persia had a big like number with like
Yeah,
chairs and
and
like a
that was our
set.
first
And
time using themes. Season 2 is the first time I start bringing themes in. You know, season 3 was
man,
Halloween, so
yeah. And so
that
that
was
whole, it was an Ungraceful Jay with it really clicked for me. I was like, oh, you're like Randy and them. You're like Tiffany Billings. You're like, who are the curators of these shows that dancers cannot wait to either perform in or to see who's performing. Like, I'm telling you, at the height of the industry, it's a little bit different after COVID because the environment changed a little bit. But at the height of the industry, when niggas like Josh Kalaki and Jade and Wildebeest and all these guys, you might only see Wildebeest at Carnival if you weren't in his class. You might only see Trisha Miranda put a piece at Club Jetty. You're not seeing them out in the streets. So you're performing at that level, caliber-wise, and at the same time, you're putting on people who are on the entire spectrum in terms of experience, new to well-established and experienced. So,
and I take pride in that, because I mean, I had like a lot of people that came up to me that were just like more than grateful. Like, you know, there's a lot of shady stuff that people go through with trying to be seen on a platform. So just the amount of like respect that I got for people telling me that this was the best show they've ever been in, and is the best this, and they've never felt like this. And I'm just like, I never imagined it would impact people the way it did, because again, it was always so personal to me that it felt like, for me, it was like, this is who I am. Like, I'm just doing me, you know? So it's, I'm just doing me. And everybody's like, no, this is like, so it's still very like, wow. And it's like, people laugh all the time. Like, I joke with my friends all the time, and like, we'll just be like hanging out, and I'll be like, man, like, people have no idea. Like, I'm just K. Like, like, people have no idea. Like, literally, my, like, Just Creative K literally came from that. Like, Just Creative K, like,
I mean, really, you know, I get it.
Just be chilling. Like, I really do not do too much. So it's crazy to like see the amount of love and like the amount of people that are impacted. Cause I'm like, this is beautiful that it turned into this, because I never would have thought it would turn into this, you know, for people telling me, even like the second one, Rico, Prince Persia, who performed, he put his students in his piece. He's a teacher, actually, the first Black LGBTQ teacher at his school ever, male, and he was actually able to bring his students and perform. They couldn't perform at this one because it was 18 plus, but he teaches middle school, I believe, and he put his students in the piece, you know. And that's things I try to emphasize is to everybody, it's about making history, you know. Same thing with season 3. There's never been a Black-owned business in Black Box Theater, you know.
What?
So it's,
okay. All right. I didn't know that. We worked on the whole event. I'm sorry, listeners. I know I just got amped in like 2 seconds.
like
I literally did not know that, Kay.
Yeah, like, so and that's why I was emphasizing to the staff. I was like, we're not just a whole bunch of niggas coming to dance in a venue and turn up. Studio 1212 has had that. They do trap and paint and artist showcase. But to be in a venue like this, like,
Black Box is different.
This is a first impression. This is how they're already looking at the community, you know, from what we go in as, okay, some dancers, they're going to do a showcase, they're going to dance, probably going to be a lot of profanity, maybe. They're going to be, you know, like, they already have in their minds, they already have an idea what they think it's going to be of. So for us to come in there and put something professional, organized,
super professional,
articulate, everything, like eclectic, like the whole thing, like for them, they even told me, even the way we cleaned up at the end, security was like, this is the neatest that the dressing room has ever been. I'm like, yeah, bro. Yeah. Like, like, that's what we do. Like, no, like, wow, you know, so it's beautiful to see how it's impacting people and training people. I mean, I think the youngest person on the lineup is Venti. I think she's 18. And even just, you know, seeing her grow, like seeing people grow up, you know, that's crazy. Because when I met her, she was dancing at Fusion Force, and she was telling me how she wants to do more things outside of being in the studio. And this is really that first thing for her, you know. With Culture Clash, she's been in Culture Clash. I've had her booked for a few other things. She did her first taste of Charlotte. You know, it's beautiful to see the growth that you can give to other people, you know, that you didn't even know you have the power to do. I didn't know that, you know, even with Entropy, you know, which you have your hand in, like Entropy, when we did the showcase, can't remember when that was that we just did that. And was that October, November? That, I don't know.
Around that time.
It was around that time, you know, even like when Tree reached out to everybody, you know, she reached out to like a good amount of the cast, and, you know, even her message, she was like, hey, I saw you at Culture Clash. And I need you. And, you know, people were coming up to me like, thank you. This is my second booking ever. Like, you know, like, you know, so it's just crazy because I'm putting you in Culture Clash because I think you're dope. And I didn't know she was there recruiting, you know, so it's like, that's
shout
the
out to
beauty of
Entropy.
dance. You know, that's the beauty of
Oh.
dance. And even them coming out, that's beauty, because I've never really been in entropy besides going to support Aaron or Jason. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was just like, wow, like that's dope for a whole nother community that's not even in Charlotte. And they were
Yeah.
deep in season 2. They were deep.
Yeah, they were deep.
They were
Entropy,
deep.
yeah. Entropy. Shout out to Entropy, man. Shout out to App State, because they got DFAD coming up on DFAD weekend is April 8th. So if y'all are looking
I'll
for
be
another
there
amazing
too.
event, I'm gonna be there as well. Might be helping behind the scenes as well. So get to go back to my alma mater. Yeah, I mean, and the show is on, like, the day of the show is on my 30th. So I was trying to decide like what I want to do for my 30th, but I think I really might go see DFAD and just soak in the energy as like
Yeah.
a founding member after all this
And
time.
you
And
know, it
just
ends at 10 p.m. So
we're gonna act, yeah, we're gonna act that ass. Okay, so before we close, I would just like to get your thoughts, your feelings, your response about season
Yes.
3. Because I know you're gonna drop a lot of content, and like you got the recap video. I know there are photos that are moving around. Everyone's gonna be dropping videos. So I don't want to spoil it too much. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it. I will encourage Kay to make some content later on after everyone's reacted to it, maybe after it sits again for a second.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get on an Instagram live and just chat or something one day. But your immediate thoughts following Culture Clash, which was what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Coming on 2 weeks. Yeah, it was February
Sheesh.
12th. So.
Dang.
Yeah. Well, for one, I think that I was like shocked. And it wasn't really like a shock, it's like oh my God, we did it. Cause I had confidence. Like the team was too crazy. Like I was in my head, like if anything falls through the cracks, then like I don't know. Like something random would really have to happen because the team was just way too tight. So I already kind of went in there with like a confidence. So like, I mean, closer to like stage time, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit like, oh dang, because this is a new experience and this is the biggest venue we've ever used for anything Culture Clash related. So my initial thoughts, again, back to ego, I was like, if it looks empty in here, I'm gonna go cry probably and come back. But I'm like, okay, doors opened at 8:30. 8:45, not even gonna lie, it was still a little slow, you know. So I was kind of like, oh. By the time the show supposed to start at 9, we started like 9:15. By the time 9 p.m. hit, and I just remember I walked into the actual theater, and I walked in, and I saw the projector on the back wall, because like I never even saw that happen. So like I walk in, I see the projector. Shout out to Jason. He put together an amazing collage and video loop of some BTS that we shot from one of our Heartbreak Hotel shoots we did, shot by Aaron. And I looked and I'm like, oh, okay. And I look straight ahead and I just see like the spotlight on extra and like Thomas in the background DJing, and then like a crowd of people. And I'm just like,
it was thick.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I walk up and it's still in the beginning, and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm about to call you on the mic to say something, which like I hate being put on the spot, but I'm like, okay, Tyler, get on the mic. And I talk, and I just remember like feeling like we are just not, you know how they say yesterday's price is not today's price. I was like, my immediate feeling when I was getting off the stage, I was like, oh no, like it was from beginning to end, from the vendors to the cast, you know, everybody did their thing. So it was very overwhelming, actually, not in a bad way, but I would say a little overwhelming, because I really had no idea that it was about to go the way it went. Like overwhelming to the utmost, because I had no idea that it was going to do what it did. And to see it all come together was just like, okay. Because I mean, when you see it with the lights on, it's cool. You know, we know we're going to put vendors here, photos here, shirts here. But to see it in action actually come to life, it was just like, yeah, like we did it. Like this is the place that we needed to be. And I kind of just felt good, because I felt good for everybody on the cast too, because this is what they deserve. You know, they deserve that type of feeling. They deserve that type of energy. Um, a lot of people, that was their first time ever even dealing with a backstage. So with them, it was just like, okay, I'm glad that I can do this for you guys too, because I know a few people were reaching out to me telling me this is my first time being like backstage. This is my first time
Yeah.
having like a call sheet, shout out to you again, like, so it was just like to see people put in that type of environment for their first time. It was really beautiful to watch. Like I felt overwhelmed because I felt like I was doing like finally the purpose like clicked. It was
Yeah.
like the first one, like you said, it was like, this is my purpose, but let's see what happens. Second one was like, this is my purpose, but let's try to do it again and clean up some loose ends. This one
Yeah.
was like, this is my purpose and we did it.
Yeah.
And this is what it is. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is where it has to stay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the bar has been raised and everybody was so happy. And to see everybody just like dancing and working and
Mm-hmm.
no cares in the world, like, it was just like, yeah, like this is all I was trying to do at
Yeah.
Amelie's. Like, it's crazy that we had to
Wow.
like do all this to do this, but I was like, literally, like everything we're doing in here, this is what I was trying to do at Amelie's. Like,
Mm.
it didn't even take all this, which I'm blessed that it did, but like, it didn't take all this. So now my feelings afterwards, I'm just like, okay, so now we just have to keep going, because if this is already less than a year in, like
Mm-hmm.
season 4, the bar is already set. And
Yeah.
now the expectations are high. And I think now people are finally respecting me for my role. Like,
Mm.
I think I'm finally getting like that. This is probably the first time where, like, not to bring it up, people finally say thank you. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie,
Yeah.
out of all
Yeah.
the culture clashes, I think I've only had like maybe 3 of the acts be like, thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time everybody on the cast was like paragraphs of telling me how thankful they are and
Yeah.
how much they can't wait for the next one, things like that. And it was just like, okay, like, I'm glad you guys, like, now I feel like my purpose has been fulfilled. Like, now I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys are seeing, like, this is what I wanted for you guys. Same thing with people complaining about the door price. Like, I know some people were complaining about the door price, and like somebody said something to me one time and they were like, yeah, okay, I know you charge 25, 30 at the door because you're trying to make some money. And I said, no. I said, I charge 25, 30 at the door because I want people on the lineup to know their worth. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, it's not a $10 show.
Yeah.
It's not a $15 show. When you
Yeah.
put Culture Clash on your resume, I want them to be able to see that it was $30 tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want them to be like, oh, well, little $5 dance showcase. No, half of
Yeah.
these people on this, whether they get booked a lot or not, nobody on the lineup has a resume that shouldn't be talked about. And I
Yeah.
purposely chose people off that as well, people who are doing their thing, whether they're
Yeah.
known or
Yeah.
not.
The lineup was, this lineup was, season three's lineup was awesome.
It's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, it was crazy. And then again, from my point, you already said it all, but team was amazing. The event was flawless. The space was great. The staff was amazing. Shout out to Black Box and their entire staff. Shout out to Jamie and Jay. And I forgot my man's name who was working with us today, of either Scott or Curtis. He was
Oh,
handling a
yeah.
lot of the sound stuff with
Hmm.
Thomas. Amazing staff, amazing venue, amazing dancers. I think there was only a couple acts that weren't there like on time, but they had already made
Yeah.
notifications, let people know. People follow the schedule, they use the green room. Like, I was incredibly impressed, because
Yeah.
again, I've
By the
seen
amount of
back.
professionalism. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
you guys were trying to get booked for season 4. I see.
for real, for real. And it was just like we said, I think we said like a week before we were discussing price, and I'm happy that you said that you want people to know that the ticket price is a reflection of the caliber of the show and the caliber of the dancers. So that's important. But then we were also talking about how, and I was saying that I hope people treat you differently after this
Yeah.
show, because the amount of work and consideration that you put in and the amount of collaboration that we were able to do because of your vision is the reason that Culture Clash was so successful. Granted, you had an amazing team. Shout out to the front desk. They were amazing. They set up the whole thing. A lot of
Yeah.
people were moving. AJ was running him and Jade were running people seamlessly. It was perfect. But I will say it was because you made the decisions to put those things in place. And so it makes me very happy to hear on the other end, as your friend and as like
I think I
somebody who
finally
works on
got
your
my
team,
roses.
that you finally got those damn roses, because hopefully people give them to you and allow you to continue to walk with them. Like, don't give them to you for this show and then take them back. You know, like
Yeah.
people got to start seeing you in a totally different light. You're not just a dancer. You're, again, a community organizer. You're a leader. You're an
Yeah, because
entrepreneur. You're a
I'm
boss.
done dancing in culture class. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. I mean, and that's sort of, and now I'm even finding like my space, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and dance at the sessions, and then after that, I'll help creative direct, I'll choreograph, but I would really rather just be behind the scenes
Yeah.
and watch everything happen, because it's magic from where I'm sitting too. So, damn. All right, I know we do have to wrap. Sheesh, we could do this all
So
day.
much
There's
to
so much
unpack.
more to this. I'm not. You know what? I'm not even gonna say that idea on the call. I'm gonna get off because that's just for us. Friends, thank you for tuning in today. You guys will hear from Kay more. Kay and I will be working together a lot in the future. So I'm sure you'll see Kay's face, you'll hear Kay's thoughts. If I have anything to do with it, you will see a lot more of Kay's thoughts, because she needs to share them more with people. So if I can help it at all, you'll be hearing her talk more. Our next episode 4, I'll be talking to the main man, Supreme Styles, who is a photographer and a dancer in the city, but also does a lot of work in other cities and is like building a way for himself, and also is creating infrastructure and programming people to kind of connect. So you don't want to miss that episode. I will drop all of Kay's links to pages, to websites, to where you can kind of keep up. We do have a link that you can sign up for newsletters in the future. We got all of that like locked down for you. So Kay, is there anything else that you want to give to the people before we head out?
Culture Clash 1-year anniversary is April 16th. So we will be doing a 90s theme dance party. DJ Kid Grady will be spinning. And not gonna do too many performances, but I will be doing 5 OG Culture Clash performances of people who have been in all 3. If they've been in all 3, you could probably expect to see them. Only about 5 of them, but
That's about.
so that's the next thing. And then I believe the next day for that Culture Clash weekend, do a Culture Clash intensive, probably the following day on a Sunday, and we're gonna collab it. CDC is gonna do breakdancing. Crazy Beat's gonna do urban abstract. Twin Nation's gonna do some choreo, and so on and so forth. So that's the next big thing. And other than that, next showcase summer 2022. So it's almost time to start planning that. So we're gonna handle the 1-year anniversary and then get back in it and see what happens next.
Kay, thank you for being here with me today. I know we've been trying to get it going for a minute, but you're a boss, so we got to make schedules
I
work.
appreciate you, bro.
No doubt. Listeners, thank you for tuning in, and be looking out for some information on the next drop with my guy Styles. Thank you for tuning in to the justCARR podcast. We'll talk to you soon.